Hello, welcome to the Reading Forge. My name's Teresa, and the Reading Forge is a place where we can talk about science and cool things in science, and also how to read them. The cool thing we're going to talk about today comes from this fabulous book, A History of Life in 100 Fossils by Paul Taylor and Aaron O'Day. And we're going to talk about how to use some of the organizational features of this book to understand what this cool thing is and what it's about. You sit down, you open up this book, beautiful pictures. Now, what does it mean? My reading tip is that it's a good idea to invest some time in understanding headers, early symbiosis, crinoids, and platyceratids. You probably know, maybe you know what symbiosis is. If not, you just look it up.
Symbiosis is defined as any of several living arrangements between members of two different species.
With this knowledge, you can look at the thing and say, ooh, hey, look, there's this and that, two organisms. Okay, crinoids. If you skip the text, you can see that it says crinoids are sea lilies. The authors, Taylor and O'Day, do a great job of explaining the technical words in the text. So you skim the text, crinoids, sea lilies. Now, if you're like me, you look at this thing and you say, ooh, plant. And you see the word sea lily and you think, ooh, plant. But if you look it up, you find out that a crinoid, this plant, is actually an animal. It's related to sea cucumbers, to sea stars. It's a now extinct animal. And there's many fossils of this creature, this organism, and many of them have this little guy. This little guy, a platyceratid, look it up. It's an extinct type of snail. So it kind of looks like what we would guess it is. So this header tells us that the scientists find this fossil interesting because they say it's an example of symbiosis in the fossil record between these two organisms. Now, also in the introduction, it has the word early. And we all know kind of what early means, but that's my second organizational feature, my second reading tip. If you really want to understand what the book is, you should invest the time to read the introduction. And let me tell you why, especially the end, because typically in technical books, scientific books, the end of the introduction tells you the organization of the book. And the authors, Taylor and O'Day, have done just that. They say that these fossils are organized chronologically in time from earliest to most modern. They say it has 4 sections, and they tell you about the sections. This fossil is in the Paleozoic section, which they say is between 540 million years ago to 250 million years ago. They also point to this handy little map at the end of the book, this table, that tells us the different eras in the fossil record and the years that they correspond to. So it's a handy reference as you're reading the book, as you're looking at the pictures, and as you're interpreting the headers. So the combination of the header plus this organizational information that authors give you at the end of the introduction gives you a good idea already of what this picture means without having to read the whole thing. As I was reading through this, I came across the word coprophagus.
A coprophagus organism is one that eats the feces or excrement of another animal.
And what they're saying is that on all these fossils that scientists have found in the fossil record, this little snail guy is near the vent, the butt of this organism, the sea lily, the crinoid. So they're suggesting that maybe the symbiotic relationship millions and hundreds of millions of years ago was that this little guy was benefiting from the nutrients in the poo of this guy. Okay, so I'm glad to have started these videos. If you look through this book on Google Preview, or if you buy it yourself and you see any other great headers that you're interested in and that you learned about, then please put them in the comments. If you have any questions, put those in the comments. And if you have any suggestions for how a person like me can do videos like this and make them more interesting or whatever, put those in the comments too. I'm really glad to have gotten started, and I'll see you next time. Bye.